Evening, my fellow dudes and dudettes. This is the famous Due Diligence Evening Show. So tonight we're gonna talk about BB, AMC, maybe even GameStop. Personally, I think GameStop has already had too high of a price, and seems like the short side is not giving up. So eventually, it's a time battle, right? Let's assume GameStop does not offer more shares like AMC CEO do, and we just keep holding it, and then those hedge funds keep bleeding. Maybe one of those days they recover. But you guys have to understand that for them, they have a lot of like institutional investors. They have a lot of money, dude. Like, look at these fund sizes, right? I know like Bill Huang's a joke. Now you have, like big hedge fund names like Cassie Wood. I admire her. Okay, I really like her. I think what she created art for art for something that's it's a very novel sort of way of investing, but at the same time maybe um she underplays her market influence a little bit, and maybe a lot of times investing is not idealistic as it sounds. But we're going off of topic a little bit. If you like those kind of content where it just rambles off and talk about random stuff, hedge funds and all these things. But in general, you have to understand as a retail investor is a unlike institutions, there's only one person who's in charge, right? So let's say this man is in charge, right? He calls all the shots. It's either one or two, right? But for retail investors, we're different. We're like a collective of apes, right? Like we're a bunch of people. We're a bunch of people. We're a bunch of people, like just like this, okay? I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a bunch of people, right? But for these institutional investors, their powers are consolidated, okay? Let's say Citadel, right? Let's say they have let's just say $5 billion short position on AMC or BB or whatever. I'm pretty sure like whoever's shorting AMC is probably behind shorting BB. And right now BB is my baby. That's why I talk it like it's my baby. But anyways, let's just say it spent $5 billion shorting something. And what I was wrong for previous video is I didn't realize that the borrowing fee is actually annual thing, right? Let's say they started shorting a share when the borrowing fee is around like 5% annually, right? And then later the average borrowing fee for them probably like 12%, right? And then let's assume they're not a bring that hedge fund, that they actually, hedge. You find it funny, hedge fund and hedging, huh? Funny, yeah, no? Let's say they actually hedge, right? So let's say they are short, their short position on AMC is hedged by some other instruments, right, on the market. You can pick something else that does well, and then reverse hedge their bets in AMC, or what they can do is, as market makers, they can gamma hedge their own bets, right? Or in this case, market makers doesn't really. Well, it's a very complicated situation. Let's put it that way. And as a good hedge fund, all you have to know is, they always have a way of hedging the risks. And then I know, like the ape nation, like what we have right now is a very specific and very special risk that we're proposing to them. But as a good CEO of a hedge fund or good operating person of a hedge fund, they probably would foresee this, right? Because the big BMW squeeze back in the days, and even I think the market tried it on Webvan. If you guys know about that company, is essentially Amazon but early stage, but sucks, and and there are other examples. But anyways, the problem with our ape nation is this person can make decision is either one or two. But for us apes, it's a little bit different, okay? So let's say ape A holds $1 million of AMC. And then he basically started with 1K, right? That's a lot of money for him. Like that's a lot of money for everyone. It's like 1,000x, dude. And then for him, like everybody online would be like, I'm just gonna hold it. Like we're all diamond hands. We're just hold it until the end. Okay, hypothetically it works, right? And if you haven't watched my previous videos, I've already give a very realistic price projection for AMC. At the end of the day, AMC is probably going to be around, let's say, $250. That's like the best case scenarios, okay? Like the short squeeze actually happens, it happens fast, with some, gamma squeeze, a bunch of, other fear of missing out people, the FOMO squeeze coming in, it hits 250. All right. Even if it hits 250, right? The very interesting part about the situation we're in right now is, let's say ape B also have 5K, right? That's a small position. You have ape C who have 100K, and ape D have, say, 60K, right? And then when the price is at 250, ape D's investments the portfolio is probably already grown somewhere, right? They've probably already grown to, these are all hypotheticals, okay? That's a high, like it doubles its position, probably like maybe more than that, because right now, let's say it stays at 50, that's 5x, so that's what, 300. So all of a sudden he gets 300K out of nowhere. And for him, maybe this guy want to buy a house, right? You want to buy a house, want to have, a nice lady, get married, maybe have kids. He's like, okay, I'm gonna take out half of my position. So he gave up for 150K share, worth shares of, X amount of share into the market. And this X amount of share will directly pump back into hedge funds, assuming all the other apes are dumping too, because 250 seems already really high. It may happen at 100, may happen at 250. And then once everyone is dumping, what is interesting is it also creates volume, right? But that kind of volume created a very interesting dilemma for the option traders who plays off of volatility. And then when the volatilities are high, and then when everybody's dumping, essentially it's a bearish sentiment, right? And the reason why these people, ape D and ape who are dumping ape C, get to keep their 300K and maybe 100K in this case, this one's already a half a millionaire now, is because all of the other apes are holding, right? But when the other apes are holding and they're selling, the hedge funds are winning. So the only realistic example for us to win as an ape collective is everybody hold at the same time, right, for a long time until these guys bleed out of their original position. So if this guy have 5 billion, position on short AMC, that means he probably have 50% margin, or maybe 100% margin, right? Or maybe this guy have some reserves just sitting there to rotten, to eat away the 12% annual interest for borrowing the shares, right? So then they probably have like $10 billion there, dude. And then you have to, if you have $5 billion shorting, you have $10 billion to burn. That's a long time, dude. Are we actually gonna hold the stock for like a year, 2 years, 3 years? For all of us ape out there, right? As far as my understanding goes, I think everybody started holding around, let's say, like January this year, right? So M1. So right now it's about it's June, so it's M6. That's 5 months. And the job market is kind of sucks, right? So then some of you might or may not be at work and doing all these kind of stuff. But when it's month 12, and maybe even like this entire short squeeze thing goes into year 20, year 2022, are you still gonna be holding? Like eventually we have our lives, right? We have a life to maintain. So then, we're not gonna go squeeze it forever. So I mean, again, at the end of the day, I'm not a financial advisor, and I don't give financial advices. But if you're a rational investor, right? If we just look at AMC, okay, like what we have to learn as someone who works in the finance industry is you gotta take your losses, you gotta take your winnings, and sometimes you just have to leave, right? Like, all right, let's look at this, okay? So this is the top, this line. This is the bottom, 38, and this is the current bottom. So today, you potentially could lose this much of this entire pie, which used to be worse at here. And, maybe tomorrow it will drop to here. And that's about 50% of all your money in this stock is already gone in one day. It might happen, it might not, right? If everybody keeps holding, then, it might shoot up, to 80. But is it possible in a short-term environment right now? Maybe not, right? So make sure that you keep holding the amount of money that you're comfortable losing rather than just keep holding and get hyped up by other people. Because right now, all my subscribers are, I see you guys as families. There's only like, 5 or 6 subscribers here. And we got to be honest here, right? Even though I'm not a financial advisor, I don't give financial advices, but I got to give you my honest opinion on this thing, right? Okay. Even if you look at BB, right? Yeah, I know you guys probably don't care for AMC, but I mean, look at BB, right? BB is better than AMC because it's smaller cap in terms of the value of the stock, and then the support lines are less drawn out, and then basically you are exposed yourself to sort of lesser of a risk, kinda, because if you go out a little bit to the daily chart, you will see where's the daily chart? See, even if you're back holding at $9, even $14, you waited like half a year, it might rebound back here. But if you're back holding $60 of an AMC and all of a sudden our 8 friends are all just, dumping stocks, then hey, it might not look as great for you as ever, dude. Like right now, if you lose money in BB, it's totally possible to recover, right? Because we haven't hit the all-time high, the all-time supposedly squeezed height here yet. And technically speaking, like you see the BB players, they folded. See, this day they folded. That's why you see this long red line here. This is what we see here in AMC right now. That means yesterday a lot of people folded. Okay, yesterday a lot of people folded. You see those arrows? This volume is where people folded. They fold, the panic sell. That's the nature of it. That's the nature of investor psychology. That's the nature of when you're a bunch of people. We're like an ape collective, but we don't have a central nervous system that calling the shots. But for the big guys, right? They can decide. They can dictate. And then they have infinite time to cover they have infinite time to cover as long as they have dollars to just sit there and bleed out 12% per year for borrowing all these shares that we're not willing to give up, right? And for a lot of you who's, as far as I know, like watching other people's videos and everything, a lot of you made a significant chunk of profit, and that amount of money will change your life. So sometimes you just gotta take the profit, even though we all know that it might be a selfish thing to do, but that's my honest opinion on this thing right now. Okay? I know a lot of you are gonna say I'm a trader, but no, I'm 100% committed. I'm gonna tell you that I have a couple of $1,000 in AMC, and I'm just gonna hold it for the sake of it and let it play out. Okay? Like other YouTubers, even though I probably is not even a YouTuber because I don't have 5 subscribers. But I'm willing to waste that money to see how the mass psychology plays out. If everybody have iron fists and iron balls, then these guys are screwed, right? We think about it, okay? So average hedge funds return, all of them probably want to beat the market. So let's say the average return on market is 7%. So they probably want to go for, I don't know, 15%, double the return. That would be pretty good for a lot of them, right? But like for people like me who's aiming for like maybe a 33% per year or 50% per year, because I'm just an overachiever, I'm just a smart ass sucker, right? It's different. So for them, they only need to make 15% a year. So then, if you lose 12% a year for borrowing the shares, and they make about they basically need to make up for these percent, so they need to make 27%. And as far as liquidity and capital flow goes, I think the maximum amount of time they're willing to hold, like again, indulging a cold war with investors, is about half a year to 7 months. That's why this timeline also lines up with month one, right? Let's say everybody starts at January, and right now is month six. That's like 5 or almost 6 months, right? Because we're counting, we're counting some days that are weekends. We're not counting some days that are weekends or holidays or whatever. Like 5 to 6 months, right? That's why you see the 2% cover I talked about yesterday, and you see the 2% shuffle. And then if we go back and just look at, oh, sorry about this, and just look at. Uh, if we just go and look at the short interest, and if you just go back and look at the short interest, oh, it's not working, huh? If we just look at the short interest, so this thing is how many shares are available to short, right? And you see, those guys are scared. They're actually, I mean, we've made history, right? We've already made them scared of relentlessly just shorting the market. But at the same time, you know, right now, like the borrowing is like 18%, and if we go back look at the short interest, like today's short volume is like 17%. It's gradually going down. They're gonna clear out their positions slowly and slowly by, hedging their other risk, or maybe cover, or using other financial instrument to leverage their risk, and trying to get out their position. Yes, that will happen. And as I predicted, it takes around 5 or 6 months, as what we've done here, 5 or 6 months to get it there. And right now we're at months 5 or 6, right? And if we keep holding it for another month, maybe those hedge fund guys are gonna fold. But as I said before, as someone who studies behavioral finance and who's a geek for doing that, I know 75% of the people give up when it's almost at the end, when you're at the finish line, like just a tiny bit. Like for us, it's like 1 month. But all our efforts are mostly ruined because this reverse sell volume is just way too high to an extent where, I mean, it did open up a window for stock to rebound back to $72, maybe get hit to 75. But it also gave the short makers or the short sellers a little bit of breather at the same time too. So who knows what's gonna happen tomorrow? I mean, if we keep buying into the stock, maybe we'll hit like $80, and then because tomorrow is a Friday and 6/4, so that means a lot of options expires, right? So then potentially we'll see a gamma squeeze again, maybe, but mostly highly likely if the volume's up, right? And you'll see another gamma squeeze with all of the options expires. But hey, as an honest human being, as someone who cares about all my subscribers and everything, maybe you should rethink how much money you're willing to lose in this AMC and BB fiesta right here, right? Maybe you should set apart the money that you want to, give your kid the college fund, or maybe just set the money that you think you're comfortable, losing in this. Right now is basically a gamble, all right? But at the end of the day, I am not a financial advisor, and I don't give out financial advices. All right. See you on the other side, boys and girls.